What's up YouTube, MetallicTCG here, and today we are going to be profiling one of my favorite decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! Of all time in Duel Links. Finally, the long-awaited video for Burning Abyss. Now, Burning Abyss was an archetype introduced during the Duelist Alliance era of Yu-Gi-Oh! Sometime around the early 2013 to 14. And it essentially revolved around Dante, Traveler of the Burning Abyss, and the entire archetype focuses revolving around level 3 Fiend Dark type monsters. The main idea for the deck is to be able to get as many Burning Abyss monsters out in the field as you can, overlay them into Dante, mill cards with Dante's effect, and then be able to swing for game with the added protection of Dante going into defense position. Throughout the years in the TCG, there have been many different incantations of Burning Abyss, whether it be the trap variant, which mainly ran monsters and only traps. There was also a rank up Astral Force variant that was able to take advantage of Dante being a rank 3 light warrior type to be able to summon Constellar Pleiades, and much more, along with the Phantom Knight hybrid as well. Considering this is pure Burning Abyss, we're going to be sticking with the rank 3 Dante spam engine and just go from there. Some things that I do want to make a mention as well that make it different in this game versus the TCG is we don't have copies of Tour Guide from the Underworld. We don't have Barbar, Malebranche of the Burning Abyss. Barbar, as you can see on screen, is a fantastic card. When it is sent to the graveyard, it allows you to return a set spell or trap from your opponent's field to the hand. So with that being said, we're working with what we got here, and this deck is still a lot of fun, honestly. We were able to get quite a bit number of wins, and this is just a really fun deck to be able to kind of change it up a little bit. Nearly all Burning Abyss level 3 Dark Fiend type monsters follow 3 clauses. 1, if you control any monster that is not a Burning Abyss, destroy it. 2, if you control no spell or trap cards, you can special summon that monster from your hand. And 3, they have some kind of graveyard triggering effect. All of them are very unique and dynamic that work very well in tandem with milling and other sent to graveyard-like effects. If you're enjoying the content, be sure to hit subscribe and to comment your thoughts down below on Duel Links right now, and also Burning Abyss as a whole. And leave a like as well. That tremendously helps the channel get more exposure to the almighty YouTube algorithm that I would be very greatly appreciated. Enough of that said, let's just jump straight into the deck profile. We're going to start with the main deck, and then we're going to work our way to the extra deck. So we're playing 3 copies of Scarm, Malebranche of the Burning Abyss. Again, Scarm follows the 3 clauses. If you have any monsters that are not a Burning Abyss, it destroys itself. You can special summon if you have no back row. And 3, during the end phase of this turn, if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add 1 level 3 Dark Fiend type monster from your deck to your hand. Scarm essentially is a delayed Rhoda for the deck, which is really good. In the TCG, you would often want to search out another Burning Abyss with utility, or even, of course, Tour Guide from the Underworld. But because we don't have Tour Guide, we can still search out quite a bit of great cards, such as any of the other Burning Abyss, or even Fiendish Rhino Warrior. We're playing 3 copies of Crane. Crane is actually pretty good. In my testing, 3 is a good enough number, generally to be able to make sure you can see him when you need to. Considering you mill a lot, it's nice to play multiples. When this card is normal summon, you can target 1 level 3 in your graveyard to special summon its target, but its effects are negated. So this is really important because Crane plus any level 3 Dark type Fiend essentially equals your Dante. Crane negates the monster's effects, so it won't auto self-destroy itself because it checks for Crane being a non-monster. And the cool thing is, once you detach and then be able to go for your Dante and use its effect, it's still going to trigger off its effects, so you're going to be able to get a lot more value from just having that going off as well. We're playing 2 copies of Fiendish Rhino Warrior. Honestly, I only have 2 copies, but 2 copies is actually working pretty well. So Fiend type monsters you control, except for Fiendish Rhino Warrior, cannot be destroyed by card effects or by battle. So mainly the huge thing about this, it's important, is the card effect. So Burning Abyss monsters will not self-destruct. It's pretty good. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can send 1 Fiend type monster from your deck to the graveyard. This is phenomenal. Fiendish Rhino Warrior plus any of your Burning Abyss just gives you such great utility, because we're playing a little bit of almost at least one of each one. That gives us quite a bit of opportunity what we want to do. So a play that could be able to use Dante, use Fiendish Rhino Warrior to be able to summon Dante, use Dante's effect, mill 3 cards, then Fiendish Rhino Warrior is the detached material. Fiendish Rhino Warrior will activate, sending another Fiend from the deck to the graveyard, and you can generally choose which Burning Abyss you want to mill with Fiendish Rhino Warrior in case you didn't get like a Farfa mill to be able to get rid of an opponent's monster on board. So Fiendish Rhino Warrior just gives the deck so much protection, utility, and just gives it a lot of get going. We're playing 3 copies of Seer, Malebranche of the Burning Abyss. It follows the same 3 clauses as Scarm, and when this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target a Burning Abyss monster except for Seer and special summon it. So generally, the play that people will often do is there's a little bit of a loop between Seer and Dante. So what you can do is when Dante gets sent to the graveyard, you can add a Burning Abyss card, except for himself, from your graveyard to your hand. And then you can grab, like, your Seer, for example, use Seer for an overlay unit, for example, or just send it to the graveyard. Special summon back Dante. Dante hits the graveyard, grab back Seer. Seer hits the graveyard. You get the point. So Seer has a lot of utility as well. But honestly, Seer in this format too is also just going to be able to get out more level 3 fiends from the grave to be able to reuse their effects and be able to summon more rank 3 monsters. Primarily like things like Farfa or even Libic, because these cards both have great utility. When Farfa has the Scene 3 clauses as most level 3 Dark Fiend type Burning Abysses, and when this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one monster on the field, banish it until the end phase. Farfa is amazing just to be able to get rid of problematic cards, because one of the weaknesses of this deck is that you don't really have many options to be able to get over anything that cannot be targeted in over 26, because that exceeds Dante's power. So having Farfa on the board is just really good to get that monster away, so you can be able to go for game, because again, 2 Dantes is more than enough for 4,000 points in damage. And again, Farfa just gives a lot of utility, and there's a lot of great strategies you can be able to use against him for the grave, such as the other Burning Abyss or even Fiendish. Libic is also pretty good too. Libic, when he is sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one level 3 Dark Fiend type from your hand, but its effects are negated. This is amazing because, again, all our Burning Abyss monsters' effects activate in the graveyard. So their effect being negated is only a plus for us because, again, they will not self-destruct. I'm also playing the 1 copy of Alich, Battle of the Branch of the Burning Abyss. Now, this is kind of my pseudo-replacement for Breakthrough Skill. If I had them, I would be playing Breakthrough Skill immediately, because Breakthrough Skill is phenomenal because it still has utility even after milling it with Dante. However, without Lich, Battle of the Branch of the Burning Abyss, if he is sent to the graveyard, he can target one face-up monster on the field and negate its effects until the end of this turn. So Alich is actually pretty good, because it does help deal with effect negation, especially against monsters that can literally shut this deck down. An example I came across was playing against Blue Eyes, and they actually summoned Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon. If you're familiar with Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon, it prevents you from summoning multiple monsters at a turn, and also can negate effects in the graveyard. So using Alich, it can actually be a great way to bait out the negation for Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon. So again, Alich is just pretty good utility. Plus, again, since we're milling so much, we want to play a lot of monsters in our decks to be able to have the likelihood of activating those effects. We're playing 1 copy of Rubik. I'm only trying 1 because, again, he is very recyclable through cards like Seer and Dante himself. So Rubik is the odd one out. He is the deck's tuner, and he's also the only Burning Abyss monster that does not have a special graveyard effect, but he still can be normal special summoned with no back row. Rubik is actually kind of good. The reason why, because it's our means of getting out Virgil, Rockstar, the Burning Abyss. But again, with Rubik, you don't miss out on any graveyard triggering effects. So generally, Rubik, if you're going to go for your Dante or Seer or any other rank 3, Exceed monsters, is the good one to use to special summon from your hand with no real downsides. You can still normal summon the other Burning Abyss and still get some effects. We're playing 1 Barbar. So here's the thing. Barbar, when he is sent to the graveyard, you can target the 3 Burning Abyss cards in your graveyard, banish them, and then he deals 150 for each card banished to your opponent. So again, that's a total of 450, which isn't that amount. That's not a good amount. It's like, honestly. So, I mean, it's there just to be able to kind of like, poke for more damage, but it's usually not going to steal the game. The thing, though, with Barbar is that his effect, can be pretty clutch in the late game, and also it's a level Dark 3 Fiend with 1,700 attack. A 3-star for 1,700 attack is actually really good, because there will be times where you might be able to use Dante's effect to get him up to 25, and then you mill like a Barbar and a Seer, and you detach like a Farfa. You can use Farfa to banish the monster, use Seer's effect to be able to bring back Barbar if you don't have any more extenders in your hand, and then that way you have a 25 and a 17, which is enough to close out the game. Which, again, Barbar's attack is actually just a really strong point. We're playing 2 copies of Mystical Space Typhoon for the spells and traps starting up. So with MST and the Galaxy Cyclone, they serve the same purpose, just be able to get rid of your opponent's backboard and pendulums, and just to go for game. Honestly, because again, like, if you're coming across, like, cards such as Floodgate, Trap Hole, Book of Moon, those can definitely shut down the deck. So just getting rid of them is going to be your top priority before you try to, go for game. Book of Moon is really good for the mirror match, but also to stop your opponent from synchro summoning or Exceed summoning. And again, it just has so many utilities. It can block attacks. It could save your life. We're also playing 2 copies of Enemy Controller. Enemy Controller is actually a really fun card because you can do things such as, like, summon Seer, use Enemy Controller, take your opponent's monster, by sacrificing the Seer, Malebranche, to the Burning Abyss, and then use Seer's effect to be able to special summon either a Dante from the graveyard to be able to get some more added damage, or even another Burning Abyss, such as Libic. Libic will trigger, destroy itself, then special summon another Burning Abyss from your hand with its effect negated. So enemy controller being sending a monster from your field to the graveyard has a lot of utility of itself. We're also playing one Ballistic Squad. Again, kind of the same idea with enemy controller. We are utilizing our graveyard trigger effects quite often, and having Ballistic Squad can be a great way just to be able to, like, you know, get rid of a card if it's going to become an issue, such as, like, you know, a face down. It can also just be able to help get rid of back row. There's a lot of utilities with Ballistic Squad. We're also playing 2 copies of Floodgate Trapple. Again, it's going to be a really good card just to be able to prevent your opponents from going off. Again, we don't really see this card too often these days because of how much that we're milling, but still, nonetheless, Floodgate Trapple, just really good to stun your opponent. And of course, Karma Cut, it has 2 purposes: to be able to get more Burning Abyss in the graveyard, and to deal with your opponent's problematic threats. This is also a really good card just because, again, if you banish, and if you, like, know a monster, you could be able to banish all cards with the same name as that monster from your opponent's graveyard. In some cases, this can actually be game, like, because, again, a lot of decks are playing multiple types, so if you banish a key player from their deck, you know, they're going to probably scoop. Into the main extra deck, we're going to start with 3 copies of Dante. So I usually have only gone into 2. You don't really need to play 3. Honestly, I'm tempted about switching out for Dante to be able to add the Phantom Knight of Breaksword, because Breaksword is really good in the deck. But again, out of all the testing I played, you only really need 2 Dantes. And again, you can also recycle your Dantes as well through Seer and other means of that nature. So with Dante, he has 1000 attack, 2500 defense. You can detach 1 material from this card, choose a number 1 to 3. Then send that many cards from the top of your deck to the graveyard until the end of this turn. This card gains 500 attack for each card sent to the graveyard this way. If this card attacks, it is changed to defense mode at the battle phase, at the end of the battle phase. And if this card sent to the graveyard, you can target 1 Burning Abyss card in your graveyard except this card and add to your hand. So technically what you could do is you can add any one of the Burning Abyss monsters back to your hand. Again, Seer is generally a popular one to have the Dante loop. But if you really need to, you can also, let's say you have a second copy in your graveyard as well, you can actually use the first Dante to grab the other copy of Dante. So it can keep, you know, the Burning Abyss Dante into your extra deck, because it's just a great way to recycle it. We're playing 1 Virgil, Rockstar, the Burning Abyss. So Virgil, you can only control 1 of them on your field, which is an interesting clause. Once per turn, you can discard a Burning Abyss card, target 1 card your opponent controls or in their graveyard, shuffle to the deck. If this card on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can draw 1 card. So Virgil is pretty good. You don't go into him too often, but, you know, just the utility of spinning something back by discarding a Burning Abyss is really good. And again, just be able to discard a card, namely a Burning Abyss, and get the effect off as well, you know, just makes a good reason for why Virgil is a rock star. We're playing 1 copy of number 47, Nightmare Shark. So again, we don't care about its first plane effect, but once per turn, it's a standard rank 3. Once per turn, you can detach 1 material from this card, then target 1 monster, water monster you control, Nightmare Shark. That monster can attack directly, and also your other monsters cannot attack. Nightmare Shark has 2000 attack. We start with 4000. He can pretty much close half the game right then and there. Nightmare Shark's actually pretty good. Like, it's an old strategy from the Burning Abyss archetype, but you know what? It's still pretty solid, honestly. Pretty good, honestly. We also play 1 Ghostrick Alucard. So Alucard has, like, you know, a bunch of Ghostrick synergy, which is fine and all, but the main thing that we want to see is what you can do is you can detach 1 material from this card, then target 1 set card your opponent controls, destroy that target. Again, sometimes it's not hard to go for 2 rank 3 monsters on your first turn. A very safe play you could do is summon Dante, use Dante, you know, mill 3, then, you know, get out Alucard by, you know, special summoning Burning Abyss from the milled effects or from your hand, and then, you know, detach an overlay unit to be able to destroy a back row. So Alucard, it's a good way to be able to kind of safely go and clean up damage. We're also playing 1 copy of Wend Up Zen Mains. Honestly, Zen Mains is just fine to stall out the game, because once per turn this card would be destroyed, you can just detach a material instead, and then once per turn the end phase this effect was used, you can destroy 1 card in the field during the end phase. So again, I haven't actually gone into Wend Up Zen Mains, but just having the utility there is kind of nice. And with the ability that we are playing, we are using Destiny Draw. Again, it's a pretty standard awesome ability. Instead of, like, what's your life supposed to be decreased by 2000, you can pretty much draw a card of your choice. Honestly, there's really nothing super specific I want to use for Burning Abyss for skills, so this is just a good placeholder. But yeah, that is the Burning Abyss deck profile that we have for you today. Again, this is one of my personal favorite decks, and I'm just so happy that it's actually in Duel Links. and I definitely tend to meme with it every now and then, and also just help refine it, and maybe someday get lucky enough to get the breakthrough skills. Let me know down below what you're still playing Duel Links, if you still are, or if you've already migrated over to Master Duels. And again, be sure to hit that subscribe button and comment down below and like and all that good stuff. This is MetallicTCG signing off, and I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I appreciate you. Take it easy.